The hospital hallway smelled faintly of disinfectant and fresh coffee. Nurse Emily Carter tightened her ponytail as she hurried toward room 304, where yet another dialysis patient waited. Her night shift was ending, but she'd volunteered to stay, again. That was Emily. Always staying, always giving. Inside the room, an older man lay pale and weak, tubes snaking from his arm to the machine that kept him alive. His name on the chart read Mr. Adam Steele. "Good morning, Mr. Steele," Emily said softly, adjusting his foreline. "How are you feeling today?" He didn't answer right away. His eyes were tired but sharp, eyes of someone who'd seen too much. Finally, he muttered, "You sound too cheerful for someone who works here." Emily smiled. "If I'm not cheerful, who will be?" He looked at her for a long moment, almost as if he didn't know how to respond to kindness anymore. Over the next few weeks, Emily became his favorite nurse, though he'd never admit it. She'd bring him extra blankets, sneak him decent coffee, and even read him short stories when he couldn't sleep. She never asked who he was or what he did before he got sick. She didn't care about titles, only people. But Adam Steele had a secret. He was no ordinary patient. He was the CEO of SteelTech, a global engineering empire. A man whose decisions moved millions, whose signature could change lives. But his own life, empty. His wife had died years ago. His only son wanted nothing to do with him. For all his wealth, Adam had no one. Until Emily. One morning she came into his room with tears in her eyes. The doctor had told her that Adam's condition had worsened. His only chance now was a kidney transplant, and the waiting list was far too long. When she saw him trying to hide his despair behind a cold smirk, something in her broke. Without telling anyone, she went straight to the hospital's donation center. A week later, the doctors entered Adam's room with unexpected news. They had found a match. He couldn't believe it. Who would do that for me?" he asked weakly. The doctor smiled. "Your nurse, Emily Carter." Adam was stunned. He felt his throat close as the realization sank in. The young woman who'd smiled through endless shifts, who never once treated him like a burden, had offered a part of herself to save him. When he confronted her before the surgery, his voice trembled. "Why, Emily? You don't even know me," she simply said. "Because no one deserves to die alone." He turned away, tears blurring his vision. He hadn't cried in years. The surgery was successful. Both recovered, Emily slower than she admitted, Adam faster than anyone expected. When she returned to work, she found a single note waiting for her on the nurse's station. "You gave me more than a kidney. You gave me a reason to live again." "Yes." She smiled and tucked it into her pocket, not realizing that AS stood for Adam Steele, one of the richest men in the country. A month later, Emily was called to a private hospital wing she'd never seen before. When she entered, the space looked nothing like a patient's room. It looked like an executive's suite. A man in a crisp gray suit stood by the window. She froze. "Mr. Steele?" she whispered. He turned, smiling faintly. "Actually, it's Adam Steele, CEO of SteelTech." Emily's mouth fell open. "You're the Adam Steele?" He nodded. "And you are the only person in this building who ever treated me like I wasn't a name on a stock report." She didn't know what to say. "I didn't do it for—" "I know," he interrupted gently. "That's why it means everything." He stepped closer and handed her an envelope. "This isn't payment. It's gratitude. You changed my life, and I want to make sure you can keep changing others." Inside was a letter offering her a full scholarship to medical school, funded entirely by SteelTech. Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I can't accept this." "Yes, you can," Adam said. "You gave me a future. Let me give you yours." Years passed. Emily became Dr. Emily Carter, renowned for her compassion and brilliance. And Adam, now semi-retired, sat on the board of her charity foundation, Hearts United, helping low-income patients get free care and organ transplants. At one event, surrounded by grateful families and children, Adam looked at Emily and said quietly, "You once told me no one deserves to die alone. You were right. But you forgot something." Emily tilted her head. "What's that?" He smiled warmly. "No one deserves to live alone either." For the first time, she noticed the softness in his eyes, the kind that said this wasn't about wealth or charity anymore. It was about connection. And maybe, something more. Months later, under a golden sunset, the charity opened a new hospital wing, the Emily Carter Center for Hope, fully funded by SteelTech. As she stood beside Adam for the ribbon cutting, reporters crowded around, cameras flashing. One shouted, "Dr. Carter, what made you donate your kidney to a stranger that day?" Emily smiled softly and glanced at Adam, whose eyes glistened with pride. "Because kindness," she said, "isn't about knowing who you help. It's about believing the world gets better when you do." The crowd applauded, but Adam didn't hear them. He was too busy watching the woman who had saved his life, not just with her kidney, but with her heart.